Well, hey there. So today I was having a conversation with somebody, and the topic came up about, I don't know how it came up, but we started talking about national parks and how this person had stated that they were kind of hesitant to actually go on a trip out west to visit some of the national parks. And when I asked why, the answer was because of all the layoffs. I started putting two and two together, and I figured that they were referring to something that Trump and more specifically Doge had done, but I didn't really know much about it, and I definitely didn't know like, wow, is this something that like I've always wanted to go see the Grand Canyon or see like Yosemite or things like that. Should I? Is that something I shouldn't do because have they all been fired? Like I didn't know. And so, what I want to show you over the next few minutes is kind of the path that I went down as I continue to research this out. So, the first thing I did was I came here to DuckDuckGo and I just typed in National Park Rangers fired. And I started seeing right away some of these articles. So, I remember I read this one, and then I just noticed this one. I just noticed this AI generated thing right here. Thousands of national park rangers have been fired as part of a federal workforce purge, leading to significant impacts on park operations, including trail closures and reduced visitor services. The situation has raised concerns about the maintenance and safety of America's national parks. So that's a pretty, eye-catching little thing to say there. But I noticed then these two things because what it's saying is these are the sources. Auto-generated based on listed sources may contain inaccuracies. So let me show you then what I found next when I started visiting AmericanProgress.org and Go.com. So when I clicked American Progress, I was brought to this article here. America's parks and forest rangers are being fired, and oil and gas bosses are now in charge. That is a really strong, wow, headline there. And as I continue to go down here and started reading it, billionaires Elon Musk and President Donald Trump are purging park rangers, scientists, and other public land experts while putting oil and gas industry executives and their close allies in charge of America's public lands. So, wow, I mean, this is a terrifying headline. It's a terrifying opening statement in the article. But then I started thinking, well, who is American Progress? Who's American Progress? And who are Drew McConville and Sam Zeno? They're the authors of this article. Are these unbiased people that don't have an agenda that are sharing this information? I wonder, which led me here. On the same site, American Progress, I found this is Drew McConville's his biography. And what you might notice here is he joined American Progress as a senior fellow after working for nearly 20 years in advanced land conservation and climate change policies. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, he also served for 6 years in the White House Council on Environmental Quality under Barack Obama, where he helped develop blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I'm guessing he's a Democratic supporter, but that doesn't necessarily mean that. Just because you worked in the White House underneath a Democratic president doesn't mean anything. But then that led me to this. So this is a site called Donor Lookup that allows you to simply go in and enter somebody's name, and you can find out what type of political donations they make. Now, I don't know exactly where Drew McConville lives, but there's some of these Drew McConvilles here in Ottawa, Illinois. And wow, there's a lot of donations to Democratic candidates. Here's $250 to Bernie Sanders. And I found this rather interesting. This is, again, I don't know if this is the same Drew McConville, but these donations to Bernie Sanders, Stacey Abrams in Georgia, I mean, $250, $5. Donna Imam, I'm not sure who that is. That just kind of struck me as Interesting. So I did a little more searching for Sam Zeno, but frankly, I really couldn't find anything about Sam as far as her history, as well as I couldn't really find much about her as far as like any kind of political contributions. So I decided just to move on to but well, actually, no. Before I moved too much farther, I was kind of curious about this organization, American Progress. So I did some digging there. So I just came here and searched for American Progress, and I found Center for American Progress. And sure enough, that is the icon that you see on the other website. Founder was John Podesta. If you're wondering, well, hold on, who is that? He was a political consultant and advisor for Hillary Clinton and other Democrats. The president of Center for American Progress is Patrick Gaspard. If you check him out, you'll note that he worked for President Obama. He was an ambassador to South Africa under Barack Obama. All right. Again, you can't really tell whether or not just because he worked for President Obama that he's necessarily Democrat or Democratic leaning. So I decided to do a little researching of him. So back to Donor Lookup I went, and sure enough, now again, I don't know where Patrick Gaspard lives, but I'm imagining it's maybe in DC or that New York area. And holy cow, maybe it's this guy here who donated $500 to Brett Gaspard. That's possible in Union, Kentucky. But the rest of these Patrick Gaspards are predominantly, it appears, donating to Democrats. Again, there's this Patrick Gaspard in Union, Kentucky. He's putting $250 behind Rand Paul, but the majority, except for this guy in Kentucky, seem to be definitely leaning more towards the Democratic side of the aisle. So as I come back to this originating article, this originating source for that AI little blurb, when I look at this, like, can I say that this seems objective? No. I mean, terms like gas bosses, this is not even remotely like a professional term that a writer would use. I think it's clear from the headline and from this opening sentence of the whole article that the language that's being used here is definitely trying to paint a clear. It is subjective. It is absolutely someone trying to paint an absolute picture that they want, not necessarily based upon facts. So, but I'm not going to stop there. I need to give you a little bit more information to help try and make this a little bit more objective. So I came to ChatGPT to find out what it thought or knew about the NPS, and I began by asking the question, how many people are employed by the National Park Service? So as of March of this year, the National Park Service employs approximately 20,000 permanent, temporary, and seasonal staff members. So that's 5%. Furthermore, as you can see here, in February of this year, approximately 1,000 probationary employees were terminated as part of a workforce reduction measures. So what they're really, what these articles are saying doesn't really add up. Now, I will grant you, if the number of people that were fired were 10,000, if it was 50%, holy cow, that's going to bring a major impact on the national parks. But this is a 5% reduction. And again, I remind you again, these were probationary employees. Now, let's go forward a little bit more. Additionally, it says, a federal judge ruled these terminations unlawful. So some of these people may get their jobs back. That's going to be something that will be addressed in court. But still, nonetheless, you're talking about a 5% reduction. Now, I'm not trying to say to those 1,000 people that were laid off, that's not a minor thing. I have been laid off before. I remember a few years ago when the vaccine mandates came out, my job was threatened then. So I understand how nerve-wracking and how traumatic it can be. I'm not trying to talk that down, but I'm trying to argue against this headline of fear about how it's just going to ruin the national parks. And all of a sudden, Yosemite Park is going to be just all oil wells. It's 5% of their staff. And just, okay, so again, all AI, a lot of AI is generated based upon other resources it finds in the internet. Just look at some of these headlines. Trump's hiring freeze creates scary time at National Park Service. Okay, 5%. A 5% reduction is creating scary times. Again, does this look like objective reporting or is this subjective? So then my next question was, okay, well, how many parks or units does the NPS take care of? So as of December of 2024, the NPS manages 433 units across the United States. These units encompass over 85 million acres and are located in all 50 states. So there is a national park and sometimes multiple national parks in each of the 50 states that these 20,000 employees are in charge of. So you're taking 1,000, not from one park, but from the whole thing across the entire United States. 1,000 probationary employees were let go. And these are some of the parks that they handle. There are 63 different units they manage that are national parks, national monuments, historical parks, preserves, military parks, battlefields, etc. And so I come back to this original search that I found here. And then again, I'm seeing even articles like this: National Park Ranger frustrated by layoff as part of Trump's thing. I get it. A fired National Ranger lost his dream job. Again, what you're probably seeing here, I've never looked at this article. What you're probably seeing here is somebody that, yeah, this is the guy. He's probably one of these people that he was one of those probationary employees. He got this job, and now because of Doge, which is a necessary evil, it cost him his job. I get it. But my problem with that is it's just trying to strike on the emotional aspect. In closing, what I want to say is you have to start with what's the problem that Doge is trying to solve. This is what Doge is trying to solve. If you can look right up here in the upper left-hand corner, our U.S. national debt, $36 trillion, and it continues to go up. Watch this number right here. Boom. 36 trillion. I don't even know how to read this number. It's so big. The debt per citizen, including my teenage sons and adult son, 107,000. That's unbelievable. So while our hearts can go out to those 1,000 people, or even, let's just say it's 5,000 people who have lost their jobs, I get it. That would suck. But this too is a major problem. This is a major problem. And so Doge, looking at these departments, and let's just look at the National Park Service in particular, to simply say, we're going to cut 5% of their entire hires, and we're going to restrict it to just those probationary employees. I do not see this, one, as some type of irresponsible, overly dramatic type of reduction. And I definitely don't see that to go, there's going to be, the Grand Canyon's going to cave in. People are now going to be falling in the Grand Canyon and dying. I just don't see that. Maybe it's me. I just don't see that. So for me, what this lesson, what this kind of exercise did is it allowed me to kind of think things through, to start looking a little more deeply, instead of at headlines, but trying to get a fuller picture of what's going on. And when I did that, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And so one thing I did was I sent a note to my friend saying, if I were you, I would probably go out west and try to provide a little bit of information about what exactly has happened here. 1,000 people were laid off, but then our federal judge says they had to be rehired. So And plus, they've still went ahead and hired an additional 77 seasonal employees. So I think that it's safe to go to the national parks and enjoy those, as you should. So with that being said, I hope this helps and maybe pulled you back off the ledge.